G'day guys, welcome back to another episode. If it's your first time here, I'm Louie, and a few years ago I started up Sapphire beach fishing charters, and I'm absolutely stoked to be finally releasing my own rigs to you guys. I think they're going to be pretty revolutionary to a lot of you, so let's roll the intro and have a look at them. So I've been using this rig in different forms for about 4 years, and as soon as I started using it, it became my go-to for chasing Mulloway, and it just so happens to catch big tailor and salmon, and I'm sure other big fish around the place. It is designed for use on 12-foot plus beach rods, but you can also modify it, which I'll show at the end, to use on shorter rods, which I'm sure it will work great in the estuaries and breakwalls. But this is the best rig for off the surf for chasing Mulloway, without doubt in my mind. And here it is here. It's called the Surf Slayer rig base. And the way I've designed this is to be super quick for changing out hook traces and all the rest. Say I've got 5 people on the charter and the tailor around. I don't want to be tying any knots. I just want things to be nice and quick. So I'll show you how the rig looks just over here. So up the top, just have a quality 104 pound rolling black swivel. Then we've got some 52 pound mono, and I've chosen mono just because it's has a bit more longevity than fluorocarbon, it seems. Running along that, we have a blue pulley swivel. And from that is what your sinker line is going to hang off. So down the bottom, we have a red sinker release clip, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, and also just a clip for attaching your grapnel sinker to. Further down the line, I have where you're going to attach your hook trace. So just a soft bead to protect the knot, a bit of a tangle resistant sleeve, and a twist clip. If I've kind of lost you here, just hang on while I put a hook trace on, and I think it's going to be quite clear how this rig works. So I've got my own rig traces, hook traces there. To attach one, all you're simply going to do is twist it on just as such. We're going to take the anti-tangle sleeve, come down and just slide that over the twist clip just so the knot is showing just like that. Lastly, I just bring that soft bead down and actually put it over the tag and the knot just like that. And lastly, if I put on a grapnel sinker, and I would highly recommend grapnel sinkers for this rig and for anybody that's chasing dewies in the surf with these heavier rods, you don't really want to be holding onto them, and a grapnel sinker is just going to set double of what a pyramid sinker will of the same weight. So it just means your rig's not running down the beach. So if I stretch this out, what you'll see is, as the grapnel sinker's out there firm in the sand, this is actually going to push this join out at a bit of a right angle like this, really preventing tangles. And you have your hook trace coming off the side at a nice long hook trace, looking very natural. So here it looks just like a paternoster, but what you have is the ability for the fish to take a little bit of line there before they load up with the grapnel sinker and the rod tip. And also having this sliding means it actually casts better than a paternoster as well. As you're casting, your bait's able to slide up this way a bit and get things in a nice line. So you have a bit of a running, longer casting paternoster that you're able to change out your hook traces in an instant. So you can have a set of gangs on here and a pilly. You catch a just legal tailor, you can clip that off, clip on your Livebait Circle and chuck him straight back out there. That's it in a nutshell. I will at the end of the video show how to use the sinker release clip, which you're going to be able to get just a little bit further distance out of it. 90% of the time I'm not using it because it casts well enough anyways, and a lot of the time you've got a gutter nice and close and you don't need that distance, but I will show you how to use it. But first off, what I might do is just run through the different hook traces, starting with the Livebait Circle. And before I get any further, I better just mention where you can pick these up. So you'll be able to get these online at my site, sapphirefishingcharters.com.au, as well as down at the Legends at Boss Outdoor Merimbula. So let's show off the Livebait Circle. I'll show off the other hook traces I got, then some other tips and tricks for you. So that is the Surf Slayer rig base. The next star of the show is probably the Livebait Circle hook. This is without doubt the best way for presenting a live bait in the surf. What we're going to do is bridle rig our yakka, but you could use a tailor, mullet, whatever you have available to you. Bridle rig through the eyes, and it's just going to be sitting on that Dacron loop right there. It is also fantastic for using just smaller baits such as a squid head, say a whole fillet of yakka, where you can just get away with one hook. A single circle hook is pretty foolproof for chasing dewies in the surf. But let's get on to using it with a live yakka. So you always want to handle your fish with a damp cloth, and once we've got him, we're just going to use a 2.5 to about 3.5 mil wide cable tie. And what we're going to do is, there's just a soft spot right at the top of the eye where we're going to slip the cable tie through in this orientation, just like that. Next, we'll grab our hook. And there is a certain orientation you want this to happen as well. We want the hook to end up like that out the front of the bait. So what that means is we're just going to hook it on just like this. Close the cable tie. And we just want to draw it tight enough that the hook can no longer slip over the front of the yellowtail. Next, we'll snip that off, and of course don't leave any rubbish on the beach, whether it's the rig packaging or your zip tie tag ends. But that is the way I like to present a live bait for a Mulloway. I will just mention with this rig, if you're hoping that you're gonna put it on and catch kind of everything, it's not gonna be the case. This is a rig for the bigger predators in the surf, because you do have this little bit of give with the running sinker line. You're not gonna notice a lot of smaller bites. This also here, you are going to miss a lot of tailor, especially because they come up from the back. But here you have a yellowtail that's alive, no hook in it, head into the current, staying alive indefinitely until a big Mulloway finds him. This little soft bead on the shank of the hook here, that's just going to prevent the hook from coming around and pinning the yakka. It's not absolutely foolproof. I still would recommend checking your baits every 15 minutes, but that's just going to stop that coming around a little bit. But that is how I like to present a live bait for a Mulloway. It's going to be up off the bottom, head into the current, happy as. That is the Livebait Circle. I'll just get on to showing you the other couple hook traces that I've got on the go, and then we'll go into some tips and tricks about the rig. So as well as the Surf Slayer rig base and the single circle hook packs, I've also got two sizes of snelled hooks, and these are all made with quality BKK hooks, but we have the 6.0 snelled and the 7.0 snelled. Not much difference between the size of hooks, but what is different is the drop between them. So the 6.0 snelled hooks are going to be perfect for your smaller strip baits of squid, fish, that kind of thing, as well as your smaller kind of butterflied yakkas and other bait fish. And then the 7.0 snell is much the same, but just for that next size up. So your larger strip baits, your small, medium whole squid, your larger butterflied fish, yakkas just like that. As well as I've got another rig on the go, which you're just going to have to like, subscribe, keep an eye on my Instagram, which you can use to make baits like this. So it is a bit of a snelled setup as well, but you might be able to see just a little bit of what's happening up the top there. So this will actually glow in the dark. And yeah, pretty neat looking way to present a lun squid. You'll have to keep an eye on the channel because I will go further into depth into rigging these kinds of things, as well as little tips like how to make sure a lun squid stays on at night when you give it a nice hard throw out into the surf. So that is the whole setup from the get-go. Surf Slayer rig, single circle, couple of snells. What I will do now is I'll go over using the sinker release clip to give you a little bit more distance in the surf, and then also just how I like to store these rigs and how you could modify it to use on shorter rods. So included in the back of your Surf Slayer rig is one of these sinker release loops that I've tied up. With the sinker release clips, I'll show you the mechanics here in a sec, but what you're able to do is either capture a hook, or sometimes it's preferred to use this loop so that your bait is going to be connected down to your sinker and it's just going to cast a little bit more neatly streamlined, and once it hits the water, that clip is going to release and you're going to be up into fishing position. So I'll just show how I like to use the various hook setups with the sinker release loop. Firstly, I'll use ganged hooks, which I'm not selling ganged hooks, but I know you guys are probably going to use this on the rig quite a bit. So if we just see here, I've got a little soft bead above the solid ring, and to attach to ganged hooks, what we're actually going to do is just loop it through just as such, and then if you pull that soft bead up, it's just going to prevent the loop from undoing, and that should stay on your ganged hooks. I haven't had it come off just yet. So I'll just show you quickly how the sinker release clip works, and then I'll show it on the other rigs. So again, how easy it is to put a hook trace onto the rig. So if you haven't seen one of these sinker release clips before, there's kind of a few different varieties. This is by far the best, and they haven't let me down yet at all. What you have here is this flat piece down here, which as it slides down, it's going to engage a hook just above my thumb there. What we're going to do is just hold this in place, and then you're not probably going to see much here, but as I slid that flap down, it's going to capture the loop, the solid ring of the sinker release loop. Now you can see that our bait is in a neat line with the sinker. The sinker line is actually fully slack, but as soon as this hits the water, it's going to hit this flap upwards, and there you are away into fishing position, just like that. So that's how I'd use it for ganged hooks. Just put your pilchard on over the top of that, so that will end up like that. I will just quickly mention, do not use ganged hooks for chasing mulloway. Their jaws are powerful enough for busting it apart, but this is super handy for having gangs on, catching a legal size tailor, and then changing straight over to the Livebait Circle hook. So I'll just quickly show how I will use it with the Livebait Circle hook. And so here is our here's our yakka from before. I was able to just unclip him, put him into the livey tank, and he's still lively as. So here, so unclip that one, clip him on, and then I'm actually doing this the difficult way, where you would put the loop on before the fish, but with the circle hook and with the Livebait on, I'm actually going to send it up through the eye of the hook. And then we're going to, just as we did with the bottom of the gang, loop it on just like that. So that is going to allow just as the same, that to loop onto there. Whoop. And now your yakka is looking like that. kind of the bigger the bait, the less effective the clip is going to be. This is going to give you an extra 10-20 meters than without clipping it, but for a pilchard or a smaller bait, you're going to get a little bit further than that. Just if you've got a really long gutter, you want to reach out to the very back of it, or a long sandbar you need to reach over. But a lot of the time, no need to clip, no need to use it, but just a cool thing to have on hand. So I'll get him off, get him back into the livey tank, and I'll just show you how I like to do it with the Snelled hooks as well. So with the Snelled hooks, what you can do is the exact same that we've just done with the Livebait Circle and put it up through the top eye, or you can simply just capture that hook. So if I slot that on just like that, so I can just capture that top hook, and it's going to support like that. That's going to flap up during casting, but that's not too bad. What you don't want to do is go off the bottom hook, because you need that little bit of slack between the two hooks, otherwise your bait's going to be out there spinning. So you can go off the top hook if there's space to do it just like that, or put the sinker release loop through the eye. So that's using the sinker release. Again, I only use it about 10% of the time if I really need to. Big Mulloway will be right at your feet at the back of the shore break or out in the middle of the gutter. Next up, I'll just go on to using it on shorter rods and then how to store it, and that'll be it. So what I will show now, just because I've got the drone with me, is the difference that clipping the bait in makes. I'll just use a pilchard on some ganged hooks, but I'll just show how far you'll get without clipping it in, and how far with it clipped in. Now, with using it on shorter rods, there's just one alteration that you're going to make, and that is getting rid of the swivel up the top. You're just going to snip it off down at the twist clip, keep everything else, slide it onto your line, and then put the twist clip back on. Now you're able to wind this all the way up to your rod tip, so your dropper is going to be a max of about 80 centimeters, which you're going to be able to cast on any boat rod, anything. So that's use on shorter rods. Next, and just lastly, I'll show you how I like to store these rigs. So you're going to remove the hook traces off. You're going to quickly take the sinkers off. And then after snipping off above the swivel, give these a wash in fresh water, hang them up in a shady place to dry, and these are designed to be completely reusable. The only time I've ever run into trouble is if a big shark comes along and swallows it really down deep. Otherwise, these all should last you many, many, many sessions. After it's dried, what I like to do is just hook the sinker clip onto the twist clip, bring down the anti-tangle sleeve, let's put over the twist clip as well, and then I'm just going to double the line over itself 4 times or whatever, and you've got a neat little bundle like that, which you can put back into the original packaging or into your leader wallet or sandwich bag. So there you go, that is the Surf Slayer rig base and the 3 different hook traces that I have available to you guys. The hook traces are all 50-pound fluorocarbon, and the rig base for the main section is 52-pound mono, and then a 37-pound line down to the sinker, which acts as a breakaway, but it is strong enough that I haven't lost a sinker in the 4 years of using it. You'll always bring them with you, but just in case you hook that real big one that hits hard, you'll lose the sinker and not the fish. That's the whole setup, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if there's any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments and I'll get back to you. Again, you can find them on my website and at Boss Outdoor, and I'll link those down in the description. Cheers.